For this one, a lot of stuff happened earlier on in the day, but that did not deter me from what I told myself last night, which was regardless of what happened, I'm going to mess with fire. So I purposely just tried to ignore all of the other past projects that I was like, oh, that was an interesting thing that I did. And we jumped into Blender and I brought up the just a character, and so I brought up the thing that I used for October's Prompttober, um, the cute little FoxBox. And yeah, so I started with just like what I thought was going to happen. So I made like kind of a little necklace sort of thing that the fire was going to then billow out of. And um, then it just came down to settings. um, just trying to see, fine tune, like, okay, so how small can I get the fire, and then how much detail can I retain in the fire? And so for a while, I actually did struggle with getting the volume of the flame down because there were actually a lot more things. So, like the liquids, you can either mess with it through the thing that's emitting the flames or the thing that's emitting the liquid, or you can go into the domain itself, the dimension that the liquid or the fire exists in, and you can manipulate the effects or certain effects there as well. But I just went with the elements that I've messed with before, and that was dealing with the object that emits the flame. And I actually did kind of struggle with getting the fire down to not just like enveloping the entire head like Ghost Rider or something. But even when I got it down to like the smallest that I seemingly could get it, because if I tried to go a decimal lower, the fire would just disappear, not render or something. I don't know what was going on there. Again, this is just a day, and really just kind of like a half a day of messing with these, like really messing with these sliders and such like that. But then after I got the flame down to below the fox's chin, I ran into, or I became aware of a secondary problem, which is if the fire is low enough, then it loses a lot of the detail that is the fire. So it just kind of has this like clown collar, this Venetian sort of like collar of orange instead of like, these little licking fingers of fire sort of thing. And I was a little disappointed in seeing that, but then at the same time, it's understandable, with if you have a fire and if you get it low enough, then it starts to lose sort of detail and it just kind of becomes embers after a while. Like the flame itself actually dies out and you just have embers. Um, so this makes me think that Manta Pro might not be the right tool for this particular job, but then that makes me think of the nightmare scenario in which I'm going to have to now consider the reality that I have to now create a mesh that mimics fire. And the only reason why that's kind of a nightmare for me is because while I'm willing to do that for like a single flame on like a candle wick or something, if you try to do um more than that, like a line of fire or anything like that, and it's a physical mesh and it's like moving around. Um, the end goal, by the way, is to have this be visible in something like VR chat, and VR chat is very picky about the data that you upload to certain things. So, like stuff has to be relatively low in bitrate and such like that. But if you have not only a really complex mesh with a lot of like displacement things that try to resemble the fingers of fire and they move around, um in my experience that generally bumps up the density of your avatar, and that's kind of a nightmare to try to bring down for what used to be called Quest users. You know, ever since like the new, like what was supposed to be the new round of headsets, so the Quest 3, the HTC Vision Focus, and then there was a third one, wasn't there? Um the whole Quest limitation thing, has that been like alleviated just a little bit, or is that still kind of like a hard set like challenge for a lot of creators and stuff to be like, I have to get it below this threshold, otherwise it's not worth a dang? um I don't know, but in any case, beyond just driving and real life stuff, a lot of waiting in parking lots and such like that, this was the journey for today. It was just kind of a sneak peek. I'm gonna return to Manta Pro and try to get more of a flame thing going there, but this was just kind of attempt number one, if you will. But the next time that I make a video about flame accessories or anything like that, it might not be surrounded Manta Pro. It might be surrounding a different technique. But this was my sort of initial real test of Manta Pro as kind of an accessory for Blender purposes. Manta Pro was never going to go into VR chat as far as I am knowledgeable of how those processes work. So there you go. It's Wednesday, so we are in the middle of the week, and I'm nowhere near kind of messing with the treadmill yet, but we're getting there. So one thing at a time. One thing at a time.